Hi everybody, I'm Gio, and welcome to my channel. My channel is all about men finding love with other men. Sit back, get something to drink, kick your feet up, and let's visit Anthony and Kevin. The name of the story is 19. Monday was the first day of autumn semester and first day of class. I took the stack of textbooks to the cashier at the university bookstore and pulled out my debit card. I had just enough funds to cover today's purchases and lunch. I swear my professors plan on making college as expensive as possible. Between the books, the art supplies, the bus pass, helping with bills, my share for rent, the doctor's appointment last week, and the copay for the new variety of insulin he wants me to try, I am close to broke. No matter how bad it gets, I won't beg money from my parents. They have as little as I do. I'm Anthony Zabinski, age 21. Papa's parents are from Poland, and they immigrated to the U.S. when Papa was 5. Mama's parents were from Poland too, and came to America nearly 40 years ago. She was the first baby of the two families to be born in America. I inherited Mama's pale skin and soft brown eyes, and her generous way with people. From Papa, I inherited his black hair and height and love for art. We're both 5'9". Mama's 5'5". Both my parents have learned to work very hard, and made sure I learned that too. What I didn't inherit from them was my diabetes. I was diagnosed right after I graduated high school. For much of high school, I didn't feel right. But one night, I had been at a party, eating and drinking with all my friends, and I felt sick and weird. Mama made me go to the doctor the next day. The doctor checked my blood sugar. It had skyrocketed to triple what he expected. Mama cried and held me. I had to go to special classes to learn how to cope. Growing up, we never had a lot of money, and any schooling after high school was all on me. Somehow, in spite of working 6 hours a day at the copy store just below campus, I still managed to take classes. I'm the first person from my family to go to university. My biggest fear is letting my parents down. I thought I had when I told them I was gay, but they don't care who I marry. Mama said, as long as the person makes me as happy as my papa made her, she don't care. And Papa humped and went in the back and brought out his old sketchbook and gave it to me. I'll always be proud of you. Art was Papa's dream. He wanted to be an artist, but couldn't. He knows I love art, just like him. I waited until it was my turn, and then dumped the textbooks and art supplies on the counter for the cashier to scan. The cashier was a nice-looking guy. I haven't seen him before, but with every place on campus scrambling to hire people just to get ready for the fall semester, I'm not surprised. Besides, it's a big campus. Dark hair, styled and highlighted, dark brown eyes. He wore a blue t-shirt and jeans, and had tired eyes and drooping shoulders. Based on the size of the line behind me, he must have been working at high speed for most of the morning. I bet he didn't get a break. His name tag said Kevin. He scanned my books so fast I couldn't keep up. Then he told me the total. I have always been good with math. Often I do sums in my head, like now. The man was off by the price of one of my books. Mama and Papa had taught me the difference between right and wrong, and it would be stealing to walk out without paying. I wouldn't disappoint my parents. Sorry, that's not right. One of the books didn't scan, I said. The man looked at me as if he didn't believe me, but I think he saw how serious I was. He quickly looked at the transaction on the register screen, counted items on the screen, then counted my books. Would you hurry it up? Some of us have classes to teach, a woman yelled from somewhere behind me. Can't they get any other help up here? A student said. I'm sorry, Kevin mumbled, comparing my books to the computer screen. It's been a long day. I bet you can't wait for break, I said. Missed that already. 2 people didn't show, so it's up to the rest of us to keep things moving. And with as busy as we are, I probably won't get anything to eat until quitting time, Kevin said, stretching out his back. It won't be this busy forever, I said. It sure feels like it, he said. Kevin scanned the forgotten book into the computer and told me the new total. I paid and said, "See you around campus." Kevin gave me a half a grin. "Only if I survive the next few hours. Have a nice day." As I was walking out, did he look my way? It was just my imagination, because the bookstore was beyond busy. Had the line gotten longer? Poor Kevin, trapped at the cash register, ringing up total after total. Maybe I could do something for him. Mama had taught me to do something nice for somebody every day. I went to the student center, and though I didn't have a lot of money, I bought a sandwich and a coffee for him, and only a coffee for me. I went back to the bookstore, and Kevin still had a line that was far too long. I waited for him to finish with the current customer. "Kevin, now you can have some lunch," I said, setting the sandwich and one of the coffees next to him. He looked up, and I don't think he recognized me. "Thanks. Do I know you?" "We met about 10 minutes ago," I said. He furrowed his brows, then smiled. "You're the guy whose book didn't scan." "That's me," I said. "Anthony." "Kevin, hurry it up. Your line is huge," some guy yelled. "Then get somebody on another register," Kevin yelled back. "I better let you go," I said, but Kevin already started ringing up the next customer while he unwrapped his sandwich. "Thanks for the sandwich," he mumbled, his mouth half full. I took off, glad that I had my books, met somebody cute, and did my good deed for the day. Odds are, with as busy as they were, Kevin would never remember me. Wednesday. I had left my notebook back home, and I needed more pens. I had bought them. I know I had, but I couldn't find them anywhere. Back to the bookstore. It took only a few minutes to wander around and find the stuff I needed, then head up to the cashier. 2 were available. One of them was Kevin. I took his line. Compared with Monday, this line was a lot saner, and the wait was only a couple of minutes. Would he remember me? I doubt it. He looked more relaxed today. Shoulders weren't held tensely, and he smiled with the customers. I stopped at the counter and put my few things down. "I didn't catch your name the other day," Kevin said, as he scanned my items. "Anthony Zabinski," I said. "The bookstore seems a lot calmer now." "Opening semester rush. You have to love it," he said. "I want to thank you for the sandwich and coffee, and return the favor. I know a great Japanese restaurant, Ureshi Teppanyaki, and I'm off Friday night. How does dinner sound?" "Are we just a couple of friends hanging out, or is it date night?" Kevin nodded, and a slow grin evolved. "I guess we'll start with the first, and if we like each other, it could turn into the second." I liked the idea, and tried to keep a serious face, though I think I smiled. Well, we swapped phone numbers. Somebody walked up. "Kevin, you have other customers." "Yes, sir," Kevin quickly said and mouthed to me. "I'll call you after work." I put my purchases in my backpack, careful of the test kit. It didn't rattle like it usually did. I must be low on test strips. Friday, I skipped lunch and went to work early because I hoped tonight would be fun. I stopped by the pharmacy and picked up test strips. Early evening, Kevin texted he was on his way. I waited outside the apartment I shared with my parents, drawing in a sketchbook. "Don't forget your pack," Mama said, setting it by me. "It's got everything you need, right?" "My test kit, my new test strips, my insulin pen with a new prescription," I said. "I'm not going to have a problem. You'll see." "Did you take your insulin?" Mama asked. "I'll take it closer to when we eat," I said. "Don't worry." "Then you have fun tonight," she said. "I have made kolachki with that 0-calorie sweetener that I read about, the one that doesn't cause blood sugar spikes, so bring your friend back home and you can have them with ice cream." "You want me to bring my date home tonight?" I asked. "Don't worry," Papa said with a small chuckle. "We'll go to bed and leave you two alone." "It's just a first date, Papa," I said. "No kissing on the first date," Mama said, straightening my hair a little. An engine roared, loudly. Papa looked up. So did Mama. So did I. A big Chevrolet truck pulled into our complex and parked just in front of us. It wasn't just any truck. A custom-painted red truck that had massive claw marks painted on the sides and had a dozen stickers across the back window of different superheroes. The truck was jacked up with oversized tires and suspension, and each door had a ladder rung below it to help climb in. The truck had a row of spotlights on top of the cab in addition to the 5 amber lights, and it had roll bars in the truck bed. Kevin was in the driver's seat. It dripped a little water. I think Kevin had just washed his truck. Kevin played his music loud. He had to, because his engine was louder. Kevin shut the engine off and climbed out of his truck, tapping it lovingly. "Anthony," Kevin said, "is this your family?" "Kevin, this is my mama and my papa," I said. "Mr. Zabinski, Mrs. Zabinski, it's nice to meet you," Kevin said, and shook their hands. "I like him, Antoni. He's so polite," Mama said. "This is a very nice truck," Papa said. "That it is. Do you want a ride?" Kevin said. "No, he doesn't," Mama said, shooing Papa away from Kevin. "Papa, you're making Anthony late for his date. Anthony, come back here and have some kolaczki and ice cream. I made it just for tonight." "What?" Kevin said. "Filled cookies," I said. "Mama's made half of them with strawberry filling and the other half with chocolate." "Seriously? The only cookies my mom makes come from a bag," Kevin said. "Anthony, you don't forget your backpack," Mama said, and gave me a hug. "You worry too much, Mama," Papa said. I packed up my backpack and slung it over my shoulder. After waving goodbye to my parents, Kevin and I walked over to his truck. "Quite the truck. I bet that cost a bit," I said. "Except for college, that's what I spend my money on," he said. Kevin opened the passenger door for me, and I climbed up and in. This truck was really nice. Gray leather seats polished so they shined, black mats with a red dragon on it. The gear shift had a custom handle, also of a dragon, and a small dragon hung from the rearview mirror. The steering wheel was covered in black leather with red trim. It smelled of cedar and some kind of cleaner, and it gleamed. A black baseball cap sat on the dashboard right in front of the steering wheel. The only flaw was a single crack in the dashboard filled with some kind of putty and painted a matching gray. Kevin climbed into the driver's seat and started the engine. Then he took the baseball cap and put it on. "This is the Dragon. He's 7 years old and never let me down." "I'm impressed," I said. "You did all the work yourself?" Kevin turned the stereo on and immediately turned it down so we could talk. "What I couldn't do, I have some friends who could. We installed a new turbocharged V8 engine, gave the Dragon a custom paint job, custom interior, custom stereo. This is my baby," Kevin said, "and he's paid for in a year." "What do you do with it?" I asked. "The Dragon is a him, not an it," Kevin said. "He's a staple at all the auto events in the area, been in a couple of commercials, and when we get a chance, we go out of the city and go four-wheeling. There's this place about 20 miles from here that is perfect for spending an afternoon. Every so often me and my friends leave the city, bring our trucks, our ATVs, and spend the weekend. Do you want to come sometime?" "What's it cost?" I asked. "Bring the drinks and we'll call it good," Kevin said. I tried to keep smiling, because if I understood him right, between books, art supplies, and new test strips, I couldn't afford buying drinks until after payday. After a few minutes, we pulled into the parking lot of Ureshi Teppanyaki. The building was a large beige rectangle with green trim around the windows and doors, and a peaked, tiled roof. The main doors were painted red, and the whole place was surrounded with a Japanese white rock garden and decorative red maples, with stone lanterns lighting a pathway to the main doors. A dozen people waited outside. The trees were decorated with white lights, and wind chimes swayed in the breeze. A fountain made of stepped rocks gurgled by the door. "I've never been here before," I said, holding my backpack a little tighter. "I think you'll like it," Kevin said, and parked on the street opposite the restaurant. We climbed out, and I slung my pack over my back. "You can leave your pack in the truck if you want," Kevin said. "Thanks, but I take it with me everywhere," I said. Sometime tonight, I should tell Kevin why I take it with me everywhere. Kevin guided me to the main entrance and up to the host. "You have reservations for Kevin Cooper and guest?" he said. "Yes, we do. Right this way, please." And the host let us in. When did you make reservations? I whispered. Right after you said yes, Kevin said, grinning at me. He made reservations? I had never been to a restaurant like this. My parents could never afford it, and I couldn't either. Something deep in my gut wouldn't settle down. Wiping my palms on my jeans, I took a deep breath. Why was I so nervous? It must be because I wanted to impress Kevin. But I don't think I could. Whatever happened, I had to order light so he wouldn't have to pay too much for me. The restaurant was decorated in traditional Japanese styling, with polished pine walls and dark wood tables and chairs. Several paintings showcased various spots in Japan, like Mount Fuji, Tokyo Harbor, the Imperial Palace, and many others I had learned about from classes. The host led us to a table set for 10 people on 3 sides, with a large flat grill on the 4th. A tiny headache began to form, but I ignored it. The host seated us, and soon a family of 4 joined us, and 2 other couples, until we had 10 people at the table. There were multiple tables like this throughout the room. Most were filled or filling up. I first came here for my 13th birthday, Kevin said, smiling wide. It's dinner and a show, combined. You'll love it. A woman came out dressed in a black chef's uniform and rolling a cart filled with platters of meat, vegetables, and knives. A man followed her and carried additional platters of meat. She lined up her knives and platters on the edge of the table, whispered something to the man, and then looked at us. The man with her passed out empty square plates and utensils wrapped inside a beige cloth napkin. Before we begin, I'm Alice, your chef tonight, she said, adjusting the temperature of the grill. A couple of rules. The grill is hot. Don't touch. Second rule. Have fun or we'll charge you double. I understand somebody is having a birthday. Who is it and what's your name? A woman turned to her date. Phil, you brat. I told you not to say anything. I'm Lisa. Alice whipped some shrimp on the cooking surface, squirted something on them, and whisked them around using the knives. It was like juggling and cooking and slicing all at once. I couldn't keep track of what she was doing because she did it so fast. Lisa, you get the first shrimp, Alice said, and tossed the shrimp at Lisa. Lisa opened her mouth and caught it. Who hasn't been here before? I didn't want to say anything, but Kevin pointed at me and didn't bother trying to hide the grin. What's your name? She asked. Anthony, I said. Anthony, you get the second shrimp, she said, and tossed the shrimp at me. I tried to catch it with my mouth like Lisa had hers, but it fell onto the table. I picked it up and put it on my plate. Alice glanced around the table, but no one else raised their hand. A table of repeat customers. Let's see if I can make tonight's special for you. She turned to the family of 4, putting more shrimp on the grill. I remember you. Aren't you the kid who almost ate us out of shrimp? The boy smiled. That's me. This time I'm going to eat more. Couldn't you go to the store and buy more? The little sister asked. Not here at Ureshi. We have our seafood flown in fresh daily, Alice said. His mom leaned over and loudly whispered, Save some for the rest of us. This place seemed very expensive, and Kevin took me here? I only bought him a sandwich and a coffee. I needed to see prices. My legs started to shake. What was there to get nervous about? But I am. I leaned over to Kevin and whispered, Is there a menu? You don't need one, he whispered back. A restaurant without a menu? I had to be very careful not to be too expensive. That must be what I'm nervous about, because I don't want to be one of those dates that orders the most expensive item on the menu. But there wasn't a menu. Alice turned to the first couple. How long have you been dating? A couple of months, the woman said. 9 weeks? Alice asked. Do you think your boyfriend can catch 9 shrimp? You know it, he said. I guess we'll find out. Free round of crab cake appetizers for the table if you do, Alice said, a mysterious glint in her eyes. Everybody, let's count. 1. She flung a shrimp at him, and he caught it in his mouth. He made it to 5. Too bad, Alice said. Let's play again. Lisa, how long have you been dating? Only 3 weeks, she said. Not even time to get serious, Alice said. I tell you what. If your boyfriend can catch 9, I'll give the table a round of chocolate taiyaki. That's fish-shaped pancakes filled with chocolate. But we make them smaller so they're more like cookies. Do you think you can do it? We counted, and this time the guy made it up to 8 before he missed. So close, Alice said. Anthony, how long have you and your boyfriend been going out? Kevin covered his mouth to hide his smile. We've never gone out before tonight, I said, feeling a little heat rise to my face. What's your boyfriend's name? Alice asked. Kevin, I said. And he brought you to Ureshi? Somebody's trying to impress his date, Alice said. Kevin, I'll make a deal with you. If Anthony can catch 9 shrimp, I'll treat all of you to a round of cheesecake with your choice of toppings. They make the best cheesecake, the mother of the children said. What? I said. This was happening too fast. She swirled the shrimp on the grill a moment and smiled at me. Ready? She flung it at me. I didn't have time to even open my mouth. It bounced off my lip, hit my shirt, and fell onto my pants. We could have had cheesecake, one of the guys said. I picked the shrimp up and set it on the plate. You're no fun. You suck at this, the boy said. I felt foggy and had trouble thinking. Mind your manners, his mom said to the boy. No cheesecake, no taiyaki, and no appetizer, Alice said. Sad night for this table. This wasn't going well. The restaurant seemed very expensive, and I couldn't catch shrimp with my mouth. For some reason, I couldn't think, and I was getting a headache. Why was I so nervous? I wasn't paying, but I had to impress Kevin. Shrimp was seafood. Restaurants only served seafood in the evenings when they charged higher prices. How could I keep this cheap? You didn't even make one. Do you want to try again? Alice said. No, thank you, I said. I didn't want to make a fool of myself. Kevin said at the same time, Sure he does. For incentive, Alice said. Why don't you give Anthony a kiss for each one he catches? Did I hear this right? I looked at Kevin. He smiled, and the shrimp hit my cheek and bounced into my lap. Ouch, no goodnight kiss for you, Lisa said. You really are bad at this, the boy said. Aim some of those shrimp at me. I picked the shrimp off my lap and put it on the plate next to the other 2. Fortunately, Alice moved to somebody else and tossed 5 shrimp into the boy's mouth, one after the other. The boy folded his arms and gave everybody a chin lift. That's how it's done, losers. Give my date a break. It's his first time, Kevin said. Somebody snickered. Coming to this restaurant, Kevin said. You guys have dirty minds. Before we begin, any vegetarians? Alice said, scraping the grill plate clean. One man raised his hand. I felt odd, not quite dizzy, but definitely not myself. The headache seemed to get worse. I'd skipped lunch so I could go to work early and make the date. Anxious, a mild headache that could get worse, distorted thoughts like worrying about money when I didn't have to. All were symptoms of hypoglycemia, low blood sugar. I needed to check my blood sugar, fast, but not in front of these people. I hadn't even had a chance to tell Kevin I was diabetic. There was only one option. I had to be alone. If you'll excuse me, I said, pushing my chair back. The fun's just starting, Kevin said. You'll miss it. I'll be back in a few minutes, I said, slinging my backpack on my shoulder. Alice, where's the restroom? She pointed with her thumb and suddenly began chopping broccoli insanely fast. I wove my way through the crowds of people and into the bathroom. A large room decorated in beige tile with green trim. It had a large sink area with 4 sinks. 3 stalls were behind them, and 3 urinals were next to the stalls. And on the only open wall was a baby changing station. 7 people were already in the restroom. No room at the counter. I went to the baby changing station and opened it up and set my backpack down. I pulled my test kit out, primed it, inserted the test strip, pricked my finger, and checked. The good news? My blood sugar wasn't high. It had sunk low. Too low. That explains the headache. Because I didn't eat lunch and didn't check my blood sugar, I was in the middle of a hypoglycemic reaction. That hasn't happened in a long time, and I'm having one in the middle of a date. Kevin wouldn't want to take me out again. I sighed. No wonder I wasn't thinking right and worrying about silly things. I took something for the headache, hoping I caught it before it turned bad, packed up my backpack, and found the nearest waiter. My blood sugar is low. and I need a glass of orange juice right now." He nodded, and a minute later brought me one. It tasted fresh squeezed. In 10 or 15 minutes, I'd have to duck out again and retest to make sure I was normal. I set the timer on my phone. I took the juice back over to the table, where they were having some kind of competition about guessing some animal. I took a seat and sipped my orange juice. They had ordered drinks while I was gone, and 2 people had beers, several had colas, and 1 person had a drink with an umbrella in it. "Welcome back," Alice said, and eyed my juice. She slightly nodded. "That's not fair," the boy said. "How come he gets orange juice? I want orange juice." "I didn't know what you wanted, so I got you a cola. Everything all right?" Kevin whispered. "You were gone 10 minutes." I sipped the juice and simply nodded. I think I had slipped into bad date territory, and I was the bad date. If I was going to eat anything, I'd have to take an insulin shot before I ate, but first I'd get my blood sugar normal. I had no idea what the people at the table were doing, but Alice somehow chopped carrots and bell peppers and onions and had them frying on one side of the grill, with slices of meats frying on the other, while entertaining everybody. I sipped my orange juice and started to feel normal. Well, better anyway. "Are you going to eat those?" The boy pointed at my shrimp. "In a few minutes," I said, sipping my drink. Alice was amazing to watch. I'd never seen someone chop so fast or so many things in so short a time. She kept at it, asking people what they wanted and how they wanted it, and then she grilled it in front of us. Dishes of meats and vegetables and rice. Alice was our own private personal chef. My phone timer went off. "What's that for?" Kevin asked. I finished my orange juice and whispered, "Nothing serious. I need to run to the restroom." "But you haven't ordered," Kevin said. "When I get back," I said, and slung my backpack over my shoulder and headed for the restroom. I was definitely the bad date, but I couldn't help it. How could I explain this to Kevin? We hadn't had time to get to know each other, and I was so excited for tonight. I goofed up my routine that kept my diabetes stable. And I had left Kevin sitting at the table while I spent time dealing with my blood sugar. Because of my low blood sugar, I wasn't fun to be around, and I couldn't play their little games. I hadn't been around for all of them anyway. Yep, I was definitely the bad date. I had to face reality. This was our first date and last date. What was too bad? I liked Kevin. There were only 5 people in the bathroom this time. Even though there was room at the sink, I still went to the baby changing station, pulled open my backpack, and got both my test kit ready and the insulin pen. First, I checked my blood sugar. I'd gone from too low to high normal in only a few minutes. My body doesn't process sugar well. At least I wasn't dealing with low blood sugar anymore, but I still had the headache. Then I lifted my shirt to expose my stomach and readied the pen. The door opened, and Kevin saw me. "Are you okay? I was worried," he said, a little too loudly, and stopped speaking as his gaze dropped to my bare stomach and the insulin pen. Seeing a diabetic inject themselves can be frightening if you've never seen it before. I don't think Kevin had seen it before. Kevin didn't say anything. His eyes never left the pen. I gave him a small, sad smile as I placed the pen on my stomach and hit release. There was a soft click. Kevin blinked. I searched his face for any sign of understanding, of acceptance. Had I just freaked him out? Kevin stared at the pen, at the way I held it, at my test kit. My blood glucose numbers still on the screen. His face showed no expression, but Kevin took a slow breath and blew it out. Most people don't understand what it's like to be a diabetic. I didn't, until I became one. Kevin's expression told me he didn't understand. Loving me would be too much work. I took a hesitating breath as something warm filled my eyes, and I avoided looking at him. No doubt, this date was officially our first and our last. The disappointment stung. It only took a second, then I lowered my shirt and put the pen away in its holder, stored the used test strip in a separate container, and put everything away in my backpack. I took out a wipe and cleaned the blood speck from my finger and sanitized the injection spot on my stomach, then tossed it away. What do I say to Kevin? How do I tell him that I'm as normal as he is? I have a problem that I usually can control, but I couldn't today. How do I tell him that I like him, that I want our relationship to go forward, that I'd love to go four-wheeling in his truck, that I'd appreciate a second chance, a second date, that I can be a fun person to be with. Just give me a chance. I can explain, I said. No need, Kevin said. I wanted to say sorry for ruining our date, or sorry I'm so much trouble, or sorry you spent so much money on me and I screwed up what you had planned. But the only thing that came out was a soft, I'm sorry you had to wait for me. I reached for my backpack, still not looking at Kevin. I'm sorry. Too many emotions, like fear and disappointment and rejection, ran through my head and my heart, and I took a breath to try and quiet them. Kevin stepped toward me and gave me a quick smile. His hand softly went to my cheek, and he held it there. It's okay. You're worth waiting for. Tonight, it's my turn to be kind. Let me carry your pack, Kevin said, picked up my backpack and slung it over his shoulder. Then his hand that held my cheek slid down and took my hand and held it. He gently rubbed the back of my hand with his thumb. I think I'd like it if we went from two guys hanging out to an actual date. Our first date. I stared at Kevin, not believing what I heard. He squeezed my hand. When we're done here, let's go back to your place, eat those cookie things your mom made, and you can tell me all about being a diabetic. I need to know what to pack if we're going four-wheeling next weekend. That is, if you'd like to come with me. I'd like that, I said. We walked hand in hand back to the table. The waiter I talked to before set a glass of orange juice by my plate and whispered something to Alice. Alice dumped 10 shrimp on the grill and wickedly grinned at us. Let's try the shrimp game again. This time, Kevin gets to catch and Anthony gets to kiss. If he gets to 9, I'll gift the entire table cheesecake. Kevin didn't get to 9. He got to 19. It was really good cheesecake. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time. Peace.